If you can't beat the fear, just do it scared.
Welcome back to another episode of Streams. I know this look different, but this is what's necessary if I'm gonna be. This is what's necessary if I'm gonna be consistent, or at least, what's the word that I'm looking for? If I'm gonna be consistent, if I'm gonna be, diligent in doing this, then I'm gonna have to do it. Even when I'm not at the studio, because that's kind of the reason why the last, almost a year now that I haven't been doing it as regular, is because I spend a little less time in the studio lately. And I split a lot of my time here between home and the studio. But I said that I was going to try to be consistent and get back to a regular schedule with the show. So I decided that today, I'm about to try something different, you know what I mean? So yeah, it's gonna look different. I don't know how it's gonna sound. It's gonna sound different with this mic that I'm using versus me using an actual studio mic, you know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna just get something off my chest and I'm gonna get it over with, you know what I'm saying? There was a quote that I heard some years back from Will Smith. It was Will Smith. And he said something about, if you're afraid to do something, then just do it scared. Scared is the word that he used. If you're scared to do something, then just do it scared. And clearly the intent, the essence of that saying, what he was talking about was, don't let fear get in the way of accomplishing whatever it is that you need to accomplish, right? That's a pretty good message if you ask me. And it's one that I have heavily benefited from in the last few years since I heard it. It's not something that's easy. It's easier said than done, because if you're afraid, then it's more mental than it is anything. And then overcoming your fears is like a whole task within itself. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, it's almost like a neurological response. It's like your nervous system is forbidding you from doing something. I also had heard, just randomly popped into my mind, I also heard about this concept, some sort of Latin, or maybe, I don't know what language she said that in, but there was this video that popped up on my Instagram feed, and it was a girl talking about this concept in Europe or something, where there's this saying, and she said it in another language, and she said it translates to call to the void, or answering to the void, or something like that. And she was talking about how our minds are designed through, thousands and thousands of years of evolution to convince you that something dangerous isn't worth trying. So say if you're standing up somewhere high, your mind will picture yourself falling or doing something stupid. The topic of this post was, she was talking about, have you ever been driving on the highway and like you just get this random thought or urge to just swerve into the oncoming traffic? Or have you ever been standing up somewhere high and you just get this random urge to jump? She said that was an evolutionary response to human fears. And that is it's like a mental, it's like an evolutionary tool to basically make you be as safe as you possibly can be by showing you the just utterly ridiculous possibilities of whatever circumstances you're in. And that makes sense to me. I don't know how true it is. I don't really care that much, but it was an interesting concept to me, right? I'm afraid of heights, like definitely afraid of heights. I don't like heights. Like I could stand up on a table and be visibly uncomfortable. I don't know why, you know, as opposed to other people that could be standing up in a skyscraper, you know, building it, standing on steel beams, and they're not afraid at all. I don't know why that's my calling. Nothing ever happened to me. It's not like I fell off of something and it developed after that. No, not at all. It was something that was bestowed upon me through birth. Like I was afraid of heights as early as I can remember. I remember being on the front porch, and my front porch was not very big. I remember being on the front porch and like being afraid of falling off of it. Right? Now, when I try to explain this to people that aren't afraid of heights, they cannot understand it. I remember going to Kalahari with my little sister. This was 10, 12 years ago. So she was pretty young. She was probably, early. She was probably 13, something like that. So it was a long time ago. This was probably even longer than that. Maybe 15 years ago. She had to be 12, right? And I'm like 19, 18. We're going up these stairs to this water slide. And I think we were going to the lowest level water slide. But you had to go up like a few flights of stairs. And I started going up the stairs trying to trick myself into it, trying to like psych myself out. And it's not working. I'm like bugging the fuck out. And I freeze. And my sister's behind me, my cousin's in front of me, my older cousin. And he's like, what's going on? I'm explaining to him like, yeah, bro, this is too high to me. I can't do this shit. This is way too high. And he's like, you can't go no further. You good? Like, what you need to do? You want to go back? And I'm like, yeah, I think I'm about to turn around. But I'm like so frozen. I'm so stuck that I can't move, bro. I can't do it. So, my sister's standing behind me and she's getting impatient because she's impatient. And I'm explaining to her too, like, yeah, this is too much for me. I gotta go back. And she like, just go. Like, you already halfway up here, just go. And I'm like, nigga, no, I'm turning around to go back. And she pushes me, right? She pushes me. Now, I don't know if y'all afraid of heights. Anybody watching is afraid of heights. But that's the last thing that you fucking do when somebody is afraid of heights and they're in that moment. You don't fucking touch them. Don't touch me. You know what I'm saying? Because the reason I'm freezing up is because my mind is picturing all the worst things, me falling. And the reason that you freeze is to sort of get control of your movement, because the only thing you can control is you. And for you to push me is literally the opposite of what I need in this moment. Right? And it was like she kind of like almost made these intrusive thoughts come true, because my mind is showing me these images of me falling over or jumping over on my own, or something horrible happening, like this whole staircase just falling out from beneath me and I'm just go tumbling 30 feet to the ground. You know, these are the things that I imagine every time I'm up high. Every time. And her pushing me kind of made those visions nearly come true. And it pissed me off. I went back down, I chickened out and was like, I'm good. Now to wrap back around to what I was saying to begin with, the Will Smith quote, he said, just do it scared. You know, don't let fear get in the way of whatever it is you're trying to achieve, whether it's skydiving or public speaking or performing on stage or, you know, presenting your art to some judges or talking to that girl you've been looking at. He was like, if you're scared, then just do it scared. And that's something that resonated so deeply with me because it kind of made sense of my fears. And it's something that I subsequently started telling to my kids, like, okay, you scared, then just do it anyway. You know, like my kids, we would be somewhere like, I don't know, at a playground, and this we might be on the swings or the slide might be really high. You know what I mean? And my kids might be like, oh, I'm scared, especially my youngest. And I'll just be like, you know, you good, you don't have to worry. I'll talk them through it rationally, but I'll say, you know, if you scared, then just do it anyway. Just do it scared. Be scared and do it anyway. And I'll kind of coax him into it and coach him through it. And he'll do it. I might push him down the slide, or I might, you know, with his permission, I might push him down the slide and kind of persuade him to do it. And he'll be like, oh, and he'll go down and then he'll land safely, get off the slide, and he'll be like, oh, like, I want to do it again. It's not that bad. It's like another concept that I was exposed to recently, maybe 8 months ago, 9 months ago, I heard this term called exposure therapy, which is, it's not something I was unfamiliar with, but it was something that I had never heard put into those words. Exposure therapy is essentially doing something and being exposed to it over and over again to the point that it kind of takes the fear out of it. You know, the things that you are afraid of become almost like normal. Prime example, as afraid of heights as I am, I was working a 9 to 5 that kind of required me to be up high. At first it didn't. I was working in the press room, a printing press room. Typically the machines that we work on, they're all ground level. You know, it's just a machine that's built along the ground and it runs paper through it. It presses ink onto it and it gives you the desired image. But there were a couple other presses in the press room that were like 3 stories high, with narrow walkways where you would have to run the paper 30 feet up in the air through these rollers and then back down through a machine that would cut it and lay it out, you know. I had never worked on those. I wasn't in that area, you know, for some years, right? My supervisor hated me. He did not like me very much at all. He moved me to this older press that was 3 stories high, and he kind of threw me to the wolves, and he did this intentionally to get rid of me. He wanted me to fold. So he threw me over there with like the worst boss that you could give an employee in this company, or supervisor rather. The supervisor that was over this press was an asshole. So when he threw me over there, this supervisor was like, I walked up to him and I said, I've never worked over here before, so I don't know what I'm doing. And he was like, go do it. Like, fuck you. I don't care if you've never done it before. Go do it. And I'm like, bruh. So I already hate this nigga. I hate my boss. And they did indeed throw me to the wolves. They made me learn essentially everything on my own, I had to go ask other people, but it was very minimal help, and I had to figure that shit out. When they put me on that machine, and the first time I had to go up to the third story, I tried my best to stay on the ground, but then they told me like, okay, the next place that you gotta move to take the paper and run it through this machine, gotta go upstairs. I'm like, fuck. So I go to the second floor. Now I'm hoping like fuck that they don't make me do the third floor station as well. I'm hoping somebody else just does that. No, I'm not that lucky. They tell me, they take me up there to show me on the first few times, like, this is how you do it. You grab the paper, put it over this roller, put it behind this roller, you send it back down through the floor. So I'm up there, I'm barely listening to the lesson because I'm so fucking scared. I'm like looking around me, trying to play it cool, trying to act like it's not bothering me. Long story short, I get the hang of it, and every time I go up there, I'm just like walking real slow, like kind of hyperventilating, and I get the hang of it. Now, over the course of some days, I'm doing this shit every day. I'm doing this shit every day. And, oh man, I'm doing this shit every day. And the more that I do it, the more it becomes second nature to me. And now, I've almost cured my fear of heights because I started noticing when I would have to go up there, I wasn't looking around, I wasn't afraid. I was up there moving naturally, even on these narrow walkways. That's exposure therapy. Typically we're only afraid of the things that are almost like unknowns to us. You're like, what if this happens or what if that happens? You don't want to go talk to that girl because what if she punch you in the motherfucking face? You're just thinking like the worst shit. Like, what if this bitch punch me in my face and tell me to get the fuck on? And she make a scene and say, no, get the fuck out of my face, ugly ass nigga. That's what your mind would run to. But then you start talking to girls, and the more that you do it, the more that that's not even a thought. Because it becomes less of an unknown. It's like it becomes charted territory, so you're familiar with it. Right? And then trauma comes by way of being familiar with something, I guess, and then a variable or a curveball being thrown at you. And you're like, oh shit, that ain't never happened before. Now you got PTSD and shit, you know what I'm saying? I don't know, I'm rambling, but the moral of the story is, if you're afraid of something, then expose yourself to it. And that could be anything. It could be flying in airplanes. It could be, a snake, It could be talking to girls. Or it could be pursuing your fucking dreams. You know what I mean? Do it. Take the leap of faith and do it. And the more that you're exposed to it, the more that you stumble, the more that you take that fall, the more that you take your bumps and bruises and you get to throwing bows in whatever circumstance we're talking about, the more familiar with this fear you become and the less of an unknown it is. I've been doing this studio thing for going on 6 years now, almost 6 years. And I'm still afraid of greatness, still afraid of it. I'll try to I'll stunt my own growth for the sake of saving face and not being embarrassed. Like, for instance, advertising to people that didn't ask to be advertised to, or putting my brand in people's faces for fear of being rejected or told to get the fuck out of my face. Stop sending me emails. I don't want to see a fucking ads. Stop asking me to come to the studio. So I just keep myself confined to the clientele that I'm used to, that I have, the clientele that I know is a sure thing. And I'm analyzing my path through this business, through entrepreneurship over the past five, almost 6 years. Spotting out places where I could have been more proactive and aggressive with my brand and with my marketing and with my my outreach in order to get new clientele or more clientele or whatever, what have you. And I'm noticing, I'm just being honest with myself and taking accountability for that is to be honest and say it was all due to fear. I don't want to be wrong. I don't want to get it wrong. I don't want to look stupid. I don't want to be rejected. And this week, no, not this week. Last night, I did something I've never done before, and I essentially blasted out an email to like 100 people, most of which I don't work with on a regular or haven't worked with at all in a long time, right? I did it. I just went out on a limb and was like, let me just promote this little promotion I got going on and send it out to these people. To be more specific, I'm teaching a class, an engineering class coming up this Friday in about 4 or 5 days. And I didn't have as many people sign up for it as I wanted. So I was like, well, I sent the email to all the people that asked. So I guess that's it. But I'm like, nah, bro. First of all, I need this money. Second of all, that's stupid. Why am I relegating myself to only the people that inquired, which was only like 12, 15 people? Like, why am I keeping myself limited to that? When I have a email list that's probably 150 emails long, a client list that's probably about 150 people long. Why am I not taking advantage of this data that I've accumulated? That's what it's for, especially as a business. You're supposed to reach out to customers. Like, you ever thought about the fact that somebody like Coca-Cola still advertises? I think about that. I was thinking about that recently. Like NBC or ABC or BET or TNT, VH1 or MTV, they still advertise. They still have billboards in Times Square. Coca-Cola does, Pepsi, Walmart. These brands that are household names. We all know Coca-Cola. There probably isn't a soul on this planet, besides the people that, like the Senegalese people, like, besides them, there's probably not a soul in a civilized nation that doesn't know what Coca-Cola is. So you have to ask yourself, why the fuck are they advertising? And who are they advertising to? This might be basics to people that went to college for marketing and stuff like that, but I didn't. And it's fascinating to kind of realize that even brands with that kind of recognition, that kind of recognizability, even brands that are household names, even brands that do crazy numbers, their mindset is there's always better. And even though we're household names and everybody knows us, it's never a wrong time to remind and refresh the minds of our customers that have been shopping with us for 70, 80, 90, 100 years. Coca-Cola been around forever. You know what I mean? They've been around forever. And they still come up with new marketing campaigns, creative ones. They come up with, creative ways to excite their fans or their customers, or to encourage engagement and all of these things that they do on a regular basis. When the Super Bowl comes up, Coca-Cola advertises. When the NBA Finals come up, Coca-Cola is advertising. Apple is advertising. Even though everybody got an iPhone. I got 2 of them. It's another one in the room that I'm using. They still advertise to me specifically, even though I already got like 3, 4 iPhones. But guess what? They want me to buy one for people that I know. They want me to buy a new iPhone. And that's something that I got to wrap my mind around as a person that is a business owner. Stop being afraid of embarrassing yourself. Stop being afraid of putting yourself out there. Stop being afraid of reminding people of who you are. You know what I mean? And if you are afraid, then just do it afraid. That shit is so important. That's a good ass lesson, is what I'm trying to say. That's an amazing lesson. Just do it anyway. But I'm gonna cut that one short, man. I appreciate you for listening, even in these different circumstances, this different environment. This was episode 33 of Streams, man. I appreciate you for listening. Hit that like, hit the subscribe, all that corny bullshit. But seriously, do it if you fuck with me, because I'm trying to grow this channel more and more every day. A nigga almost close to going viral this week. I got a couple clips on my Instagram that hit like 150 views. 850 views, I'm sorry. It's not, it's not viral, but typically I get 200 views, 400 views, 350 views. Those are my averages, typically. But I had a couple clips this week do like 800, 900. And on YouTube, I kind of had some clips go crazy a little bit. So, just support your mans, man. Like the video, comment. I don't give a fuck what you say. Just leave a letter. Put blank space and hit enter. I don't give a fuck what you do. Boost the engagement on this motherfucker. Get me seen. I appreciate y'all, man. I'll be back for episode 34, man. Holla at me.